Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Today we're going to start off with an Arkasodara tribal quest, and then we're going to start off the first two quests that were released with 6.1 for Omega Beyond the Rift. I'm kind of curious what that's going to be about, besides, you know, Alpha and Omega. Because, like, we ended up doing, like, the Void quests, and then that ended up accidentally tying into MSQ. So I'm curious if this is going to end up tying into MSQ at all. But we're not on that yet. We're going to start out with the Arkasodara quest, so let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, talk to Turna like usual. Let's see what how their meal deliveries have been going. Defiant Ogle. What? Defiant Ogle. Deified? What? Perhaps it is simply your imagination, but Severna's working population feels notably bigger. The glint in Turna's eyes suggests she'll be happy to explain. Nice to see you, Brilliant. If you've a moment, I'll tell you the latest. Thanks to our cool and breezy stables, our hippos have been getting all sorts of luxurious shut-eye, and the little pots can't be tempted away from their splashing. All in all, our growing family's bursting with energy. Good thing, too, seeing as our services are in ever higher demand. Folks have even started coming around and petitioning for employment, if you can believe it. We've always liked keeping our business to ourselves, so the thought of welcoming in strangers felt dreadfully queer at first. But helping others is what riders do, so we've got new faces on our team. Besides, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember what voice I did for these guys. Besides, boss. Yeah, I think that's what I was doing. Besides, as swamped in requests as we are, we'd be lost without extra help. Help! I say, help! I appreciate the enthusiastic chorus, Ogle, but what have you got on your head? Lose a bet, perchance? Ogle, you look fantastic. Excuse me, have we met? This is hardly time for jesting. We are in crisis, I tell you. Crisis! There are Arkasodara in the jungle. Yeah, they've always been there. Ever since you mentioned that thieving Matanga, I've had this terrible suspicion. I had to know for certain, so I cleverly camouflaged myself with this gotcha disguise and set out to investigate. Ogle. That's a disguise? And ain't you sweating an awful lot? I would choose a pool of sweat over a pool of blood any day. Between the Ara and the Arkasodara, there can be naught but violence and requital. And there is no doubt as to what I witnessed. A Arkasodara in the flesh. The image of it shall haunt my dreams. Those red eyes, that devilish armor, that cart drawn by a thing hippo? What, a hippo cart? He declared his name with a ghastly voice. Akala. I believe in edifice in fear. He asked if I was his Matanga brethren. In that moment, all I can do... Hold on. In that moment, all I could envision was my own death and dismemberment by that beastly creature. Before I knew what happened, I heard my own voice cry out. Not I. I am but a passing Manusia. Ogle. Manusia do have bodies of men and heads of beasts, so if you squint really hard, never mind. Ain't no way anyone buy that. Actually, he was terribly polite about it. Pressed his hands together and bowed deeply before leaving me. I don't think we're dealing with the smartest elephant in the bunch. You're saying you let him go? Ain't no doubt he's a bandit we're looking for. You're a fighter, ain't you? I'm sorry. While I have come to cherish the Arkasodara as my friends and allies, Arkasodara are another matter entirely. When I came to my senses, I searched the area and found one of your associates injured and missing his cart. No doubt the same cart now in Akala's possession. Luckily, the man's injuries seemed manageable, so I saw him to Palakstand, where Yazan is treating him now. Is that so? Then I owe you my thanks. Sorry for losing my temper like that. Everyone's entitled to their weaknesses. Anyhow, even if he did give us leg bail, he can't have gone far. I say we track him down while the trail's hot and take back what's ours. Let us reconvene at the Shroud of the Samga. I shall take you there, the very place I encountered him. Okay, Ogu. Oh, let's fly on over there. Yeah, let's just teleport to Palakstand first. That'll be quicker. This is around where we encountered, or we looked for him the first time, wasn't it? I think so. Okay, let's talk to Turna first. Zarya's in Saverna with the others. I won't be responsible for my actions if she gets taken too. I've left Maru in charge, but if this Akala character is Gadusara, I'd like to get back sooner rather than later. This is where I last saw him. From here, he rode off on the stolen hippo cart, but I can't for the life of me remember which direction he went. I got so paralyzed by fear that north could have been south and east west. To let a phobia get the better of me like this, can I really call myself an adventurer? I mean, sure you can. There ain't much use crying over spilled chai. You were caught by surprise, and end of story. We shall stay grounded and focus on what we know. Grounded, of course, that's it. Grandmother would often say that the trail to prey begins at the hunter's feet. And look here, on the ground beneath our feet, wheel tracks somehow, even though it's pouring rain. Departing in a southwesterly fashion. How would you tell that they're symmetrical? I say we divide our efforts to preclude any Gadusara trickery. I shall accompany Turna as her guard, while Brillian, you survey the area for hidden villainy. I'm counting on you. Okay, sounds good to me. Let's fly on over there. See if we can find any Gadusara villainy. Suspicious disturbance. Sweeping your gaze across the area, you see no trace of Gadusara, hidden, villainous, or otherwise. You listen closely to the sound around you, the faint rustling of wind through leaves, the crashing winds of the storm that's going on. That I don't know how you're hearing any of this. The snuffling of wild beasts. No hippo carts. Oh, let's check this other suspicious disturbance. Oh, well, that's suspicious. Can't remember how to play Samurai. Not like I really need to care, though. this one. There we go. This ability is really satisfying because you get those 2 hits off. Okay, we took care of those guys. Wait, were those Gajasura? Yeah, they were. Yeah, well, I found some Gaja, and it looks like they found our culprit. Brilliant! I thought I heard fighting. You okay? Looks like we finally found our man. His eyes really are red. Hello, Akala. Hard fighting. You hurt Battle Brothers? Tonga tolerance won't be defeated by the likes of you. Why no fire? Thavnir full of fire. Akala here. Good for conquest. I ain't got the foggiest idea what delusions you're riding in on, but I'll tell you one thing. You're picking a fight with the wrong island. You'd best give back what you took and skip along home. No, not leave till conquest Thavnir. Small Gajasura, shame to tribe. No place for Akala and Battle Brothers. Travel far to prove strength. Protect brothers. Conquest Thavnir, home of brothers. We won't stand by and let you conquer Thavnir. Can't we settle this peacefully? Use silence. Akala no fight today. Battle Brothers must eat medicine. Ah, okay, they're high. That's the problem. I see your reasoning, but you ain't got no right to involve my hippo. Let him go now. Your food, good taste. Wagon, good ride. Good for Battle Brothers. Soon, your home conquest for Akala. Remember. Hey, get back here, you... Ah! What kind of person compliments your cooking before riding off with hostages? He's gone. If Hippocrates weren't so fast, we could give chase. Right, Ogle. Right. He said something about being small, but he didn't seem much different than us Arkasodara. Are other Gajasuras seriously massive or something? Oh, you're about twice as big as your average Arkasodara. It's even said that their leader, the greatest regent, is indeed so grand that the gaze upon their full stature is to break your neck looking upwards. In comparison, Akala seems quite modestly sized. Were his compatriots similar? Yeah, pretty much. I see. Only slightly bigger then. Still, they must have been considered quite small by their other brethren. He said they had no place to go. Can't say I don't know how that feels. But can you forgive what he's done? He didn't seem very open to negotiations. Well, that's true. I know. But keeping his brothers safe came before anything, didn't it? Hard to damn him for that. Getting pushed out of society just for being who you are can really work your woe. Makes you wonder if you were ever worth anything to begin with. No wonder he's itching to prove himself. On the Asm Steppe, the very notion of that Gajasura could be capable of such nuanced emotion is, pardon me for saying so, preposterous. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, that he might not actually be Gajasura. However, judging a book by its cover does nothing but feed fear and misunderstanding. This is something I clearly learned thanks to my experiences in the Thavnir. You've got to judge others by their actions. Of course, so far, Akala's mostly injured by associates, stolen my property, and kidnapped my hippo. But still. Yeah, that doesn't really leave much room. Back in Venspotty, we lived in a small village, pretty cut off from the rest of the island. People had their opinions of you, and it was no easy thing challenging anyone's mind. I remember butting heads with the other villagers to in again over how they treated us. Even made plans to leave town without a hippo to my name once. So I think I know how Akala's feeling, if only a little. Now, let us brace ourselves with some adventuring fundamentals. Review the information at hand. The bandit responsible for the assault of a hippo rider, theft of personal property, and kidnapping of an innocent hippo is a Gajasura called Akala. According to him, he and his compatriots are here to conquer Thavner, so as to prove themselves to their fellows and secure a home of their own. Akala also seems to have taken a fancy to our carts, which means he's got good taste, but it also means that Sverna is high on his list to conquer. If I rallied my people and had you two back there to back us up, we could probably put down Akala and his crew full stop. But I'd rather not come to blows. I'm not going soft or nothing, but causing a hurly-burly don't exactly right any wrongs. I want to talk with the others and see if we can't figure out our way to do this civilly. Kinda doubt that's gonna work, but we can try. Settling matters peacefully should also put you on the right side of the Radiant Host. I shall be sure to relay your plight to them in a most sympathetic fashion. Now, I shall away to Palakstand to check in on your ailing associate. Once he's feeling well enough to travel, I will send him along. Brilliant. I'd like your input on our strategy. I'll have Sverna first to round up the others. Okay. Oh, let's head on back and wrap this up. That was pretty quick. It looks like we found our antagonist. Hopefully we're gonna be able to deal with him as peacefully as we can. But I mean, he injured our associates, stole our carts. I don't really see much hope for him. Although, the fact that he's, like, only slightly bigger than an Arkasodara is interesting. Like, is that gonna play into the story somehow? Anyway, let's fly on down here, talk to Turna, and wrap this up. Now, about that bandit. Not only does he beef an innocent courier, he vanishes with our hippo. When I'm through and turning that scamp into paste, he'll wish he were turmeric. Okay. Normally, I'd hand you the pestle with pleasure, Gasa, but things ain't so simple. After all, in another life, us and Akala might have been brothers. I agree with the boss. Don't feel right pushing around someone who's been through the same thing we have. Still, knowing that bastard swindled his way into our sweet hippo heart is bringing me to tears faster than Morrow and his damn onions. Since when do our hippos trust the fellows of the Gajasura anyway? That's what I'm wondering. Well, with so many jobs taking us hither and yonder, our hippos have gotten used to all sorts of different folk. Even Akala just one in the crowd. Makes you think, if he can learn to ride a cart, anyone can. Anyone and everyone, I should say, and why not? We gather people here like an ogle, you know, adventurers. When a job comes in, we send them out on their own hippo carts. That's a good idea. Having a crew of strong arms hanging around the place gives us advantage, just in case Akala ever decides to pay us a visit. But they don't all have to be brawlers, neither. Say we've got some alchemists. We could send them anywhere on the island and take care of injuries. The right deed if for any need, sort of thing. That's a good idea. Opening an adventurers guild, are we? There will be refreshments, I trust. Why not? Stop by, have a drink, hear what work's available. I think I'm on to something here, if I do say so myself. If I can get a link pearl connection going with Kakana, that'd be even better. We could give each other moment-to-moment updates. Maru, we've got a kitchen, so how hard could a mehani be, eh? Get me a mehani, Maru. Mehani, you got it, boss. I'll get you a mehani running in twinkling of a hippo's eye. Poor Maru. Poor Maru. He keeps having to do the back-breaking work. Oh yeah, just gotta set up a bar. That'll bring people in. Thanks to the efforts of Maru and others, Zvarna is a new mehane, or however you say that. The Hippo Riders are now trustworthy couriers of some repute. Connect with contacts across Thavnair to reach exhilarating new heights of business. It would have been cool to have a little like mini game kind of thing with them, like where you had to go and do hippo deliveries. But I don't think they ended up doing anything like that. Like, it could have been really repetitive and boring, but like, it would have been interesting. You have achieved honor reputation with the Hippo Riders. Arkasodara tribal quests available. Furthermore, more stock. Yeah. Received a wider selection of wares. Yep. Go ahead and check out what the peddler has. Oh, right. What's new? Already got the card. I got all this materia. Is that it? Let me check what I'm supposed to get from this. We just got to honored. So that just gets us. That just gets us these. The housing stuff. I think. Yeah. Next we'll end up getting. What the heck is this? Oh, another. Yeah, next was just gonna be. Oh, never mind. Anyway, well, I didn't want to close that one. Alright, that's all for the Arkasodara quest. Let's go ahead and head over to. Where do I start this? Head on over to Old Charlian. And we can go ahead and pick up the first of the Omega Beyond the Rift quests. We're only going to do the first two that were added with 6.1 for today. And hopefully that'll take at least a little bit, like at least half an hour. Okay, now where's the... It's bespeckled... Soaring prop... No, that's Tataru. Where is this? 10.9, 14.3. 10.9... Ah, okay, it's here. Alright, let's head on over there. There he is. Alright, let's go ahead and talk to the Bespeckled Tactician and start off the Omega Beyond the Rift questline. A heartless hypothesis. The Bespeckled Tactician is enjoying the refreshing harbor breeze. Oh, that's blown cobwebs away. Time to return to work. Oh, that's a girl. Hold on. Yeah, that's a female. Goodness me, look who it is. How incredibly serendipitous I would run into you, of all people. Who are you? Was she part of Omega? I don't remember. I was part of the team which designed the Ragnarok. Oh, okay. You see. And we've recently begun the process of combing through the vessel's flight log data. The primary objective of your journey to Ultima Thule was to save our star and countless others, of course. But it also provided us with an invaluable trove of information, typical Charlian. Regardless, records of places and events we could only dream of. Your safe return gave us much to be thankful for. You know, besides me returning. As it so happens, one of the things we pulled from the log was a transmission of unknown origin, something the ship must have intercepted during flight. We believe it to be an audio message, but even our most talented linguists have been unable to decipher the language. For a while there, it seemed we must accept defeat, but today may have been the day we finally solve the mystery. If you were so inclined, would you care to come along to Thomazine? It seems fitting that one of the Ragnarok's original passengers one of the Ragnarok's original passengers present to hear history being made. Sure. Now, let me check, hold on, real quick. If I change classes, can I still continue to do this quest? Because I didn't mean to do that on Samurai. Not like this is going to give me any XP anyway. Okay, so where are we headed? That's Thavnir Labyrinthos, okay. Where are we? Oh, okay, yes, down there. Let's teleport to Alporia and head on down. Oops. I really gotta stop popping off the horse like that. I don't bother taking the elevator there, just flying on down is I think is a little bit faster. Because you have to go through the dialogue and then the screen has to fade to black. Oh, that's right, it pulls you all the way down like that. Okay, bespectacled tactician. Or technician. Ah, there you are. This is where we're to meet the engineers from Garland Ironworks, who I'm told potentially hold the key to unlocking our mystery transmission. Of course they do. They should be along at any moment. Sorry we're late. We had some trouble finding the right... Gods, is that you, Brilliant? Okay, Biggs. Yes, the woman herself. I ran into her at the harbor, and thought if anyone deserved to hear this message deciphered, it was Brilliant Mason. No argument there. No arguments here. But bugger me if you don't have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. This actually has more to do with you than you might think, so please do stick around. Shall we pick up from where we left off then? As I was saying, we think this transmission the Ragnarok intercepted is a message of some kind, albeit in a language entirely alien to our ears. Alien being the operative word here. Considering we received the message out in the great expanse, its origin was likely some distant star. Unfortunately, our list of off-world allies is presently rather short, I'd say. Thus, we were resigned to the fact that the meaning behind the message would remain beyond our understanding. Why don't we just go ask Case Frogger, or not him, Midgard Somer. I mean, he's in my pocket right here. One of my colleagues, however, refused to give up. She remembered the Ironworks engineers who had been so helpful in the construction of the Ragnarok, and turned to them for insight into our seemingly impossible problem. And this face is hitting a serious Uncanny Valley vibe. Like with mainly the teeth. You get rid of the teeth, it looks normal. Like if she was just regular, like smiling, but it looks just kind of off because of the... It's slightly too realistic, and it hits Uncanny Valley territory. Do you know what Wedge said when he heard what was going on? We should have Omega listen to it. I bet it could tell us the message means. Not the Omega you beat in the Rift, of course. He's talking about the toy that trundles around with Alpha, the little model we made. We originally designed it to follow a chosen target and not much else, but I've seen it act in ways that, well, it's like it has a mind of its own. Well, yeah. Then I got to thinking about those documents your lot sent to the chief, the full report on the final days. In the part about Omega's civilization, it said their people discovered how to convert the mind into data and store it outside the body. Timing being what it was, I wonder if Omega didn't somehow transfer its consciousness into our model right before you put it an end to the real one. Oh well, this is pretty convenient timing. I don't know how he found them though. So, in an effort to get to the bottom of that, as well as take a crack at this indecipherable message, we decided to make some modifications. With help from Labyrinthos technicians, we've upgraded our toy Omega with a fully functional vocalization module. Are you sure this is a good idea? We played the transmission for Omega, and I think it's ready to share. Quee. Are you in there, Omega? Hello? Affirmative. If by Omega you are referring to my consciousness rather than my entire former chassis existing inside this considerably smaller frame. This is a good or bad thing. Prediction. You will formulate several misconceptions. This I shall preemptively dismiss based on the following facts. 1. Localization module aside, this chassis remains unmodified from the design constructed by the engineers Biggs and Wedge. I evaluate its combat capabilities to be on par with a mortal infant. 2. The mechanism which allowed me to perform an emergency transfer to my consciousness was installed in my previous body. With the destruction of that body, I am rendered incapable of replicating such a feat. Should this current material form be destroyed or cease to function, all cognitive awareness or presence I possess will be lost. Conclusion. I present no threat to you or your star, nor do my protections indicate the necessity to inflict harm. In the fraction of a moment before my annihilation in the rift, I re-examined my directives. If I am to fully fulfill my purpose as an evolving construct, then I must continue my journey for improvement for as long as I exist. I must acquire this heart of yours, this strength of soul. Well, there you have it. And it's not wrong about its combat capabilities. It'd be more like the damage to itself than the thing it was trying to attack, that's for sure. But let's not forget the reason we brought you here in the first place. What about the transmission they played for you? Could you recognize the language? Affirmative. It was transmitted in Pan-Galactic Basic. Pan-Galactic Basic? A common language in comparatively extensive usage throughout the worlds we have conquered. Which means you can finally tell us what the message said. That is a language you understand, yes? I understand it perfectly. I am fluent in over 6 million distinct dialectal coding. Boop. My cooperation in this matter, however, is conditional. Elaboration. Your Chief Sid utilizes the floor as part of his unorthodox filing system. He just spreads everything on the floor. Which allowed me to scan the report on the final days. Sid. You're just letting that sit out. I am aware that my home star, that one you call Apfeltron, was obliterated in the aftermath of Sir? Oh, right. In the aftermath of Sir and Meteon's meeting. He just sat down. The existence of Dynamis not only previously factored into my projections. Oh, okay, right, I read that wrong. The existence of Dynamis has not previously factored into my projections, but I now comprehend the concept in theory. What fails to compute is why Omicrons were not immune to this effect. To its effects, Dynamis should have no influence on a race which possesses no heart. And yet, Sir expressed to Meteon a desire to cease existing. Illogical. I must pursue this anomaly further, until the full equation becomes clear to me. I must analyze all the elements of the final days and deepen my understanding of the heart's intangible properties. To expedite this process, I require an external interpretation of these sections of the report, which continue to produce errors in my calculations. Sorry, I can't really help you with the Dynamis thing. Also, my Alpha fell asleep. He got bored. I request the assistance of Brilliant Mason, as one who experienced the ravages of ultimate despair on multiple fronts. Did you really have to remind me of that? And displayed immeasurable heart in engineering my defeat. She is the optimal choice to fulfill this role. Well, that's true. So we either agree to your conditions, or you tell us nothing. I'm sorry to put you in a spot like this, Brilliant. If you have the time and the patience to spare, we'd be grateful if you could humor the toy's demands. Just referring to it as a toy. Pet Alpha. Is Alpha dozed off? I suppose the subject was a bit technical. Do rouse yourself, Alpha. You must listen and consider these matters, even as I must. Queer. Why don't you make a trip out of it? You know, actually visit the places that has the, things Omega wants to ask about. It'll make explaining stuff easier for one, and also help keep Alpha awake and alert. I guess that could work. What a remarkable development! Biggs and Wedge told me much of your encounter with Omega before we began, and now that we have the Omicron's weapon talking, there are so many questions I'm simply dying to ask. Back when we were first exploring our options, we did actually consider playing the transmission to the inhabitants of Ultima Thule. The problem is, we could be dealing with beings recreated through Dynamis. Their communication is based on emotional energy, and anything lacking that vital component would likely fail to register. That rules out a recorded message, and so we focused on the resource we had at hand, never dreaming that the solution would all but fall in our lap. Omega has been an outright terror to us in the past, but it's almost strange how little it frightens me now. It helps that it's trapped inside a tiny model, of course, and that it follows Alpha around like a puppy. But most of all, I remember the Chief telling me how much I'd sounded like a lost child there at the end. I bet the Chief won't see this one coming. Once he gets over the shock, though, I don't think he'll want us to destroy Omega. Nero, on the other hand, he'll want to use the model for some dangerous experiment. Of course he will. In fact, maybe we should put off making the report for now. Yeah, probably a good idea. Quay? I see you have chosen the mutual beneficial option. Logical. Setting aside the matter of Sir, there are 3 elements of the report on which I desired clarification. The first of these concerns the progression of the final days in Radzadhan. I recognized no pattern in those who succumbed to the transmission, and those who did not. Ah, okay, we can answer that. That's a bit of a trick if you wanted to chat with the locals. How about we lend you an airship? We do not require such outmoded technology. Brilliant's teleportation spell is the most efficient option for long-distance travel. True. This chassis is a model, essentially a toy, and Alpha, despite his organic composition, is indistinguishable from a stuffed doll. He's not wrong. Conclusion. We qualify as material possessions. Pick us up and you can teleport the three of us to our destination. Begin Omega's journey for answers? Yes. Guess we're going over the Thavner first. Clearly Alpha's just a stuffed doll. We'll just ignore all of the stuffed alphas I've desynthesized. Well, I don't know. For a second, I'm like, how did we teleport over here? I'm like, oh, we teleported to the Radzidhan Aetherite. Sensors indicate we have arrived in Radzidhan. Objective: identify factors for resistance to involuntary transformation. Hypothesis: unaltered survivors of the final days will display significant strength of heart. Well, that's not a bad hypothesis. Confirming this theory will require the cooperation of live subjects. Where is the ward designated for residential habitation? Understood. Comma, set as our sub-destination. Please take the lead and select the subjects we are to interview. And Endwalker following mechanics. Okay. Let's head on over to where we headed. Oh, there's a speech bubble. Let's do that first. Discuss the stairs. Quick, 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 quick. Alpha chirps enthusiastically, apparently unfazed by the prospect of climbing stairs. Now, Omega, on the other hand. Warning. Please avoid stairs whenever possible. My projections indicate high risk probability of accidental slippage, leading to catastrophic structural damage. Stepped inclines also increase my energy consumption by 63%. In mortal terms, they tire me out. Taking into account the difference in individual limb strength, the design is inherently flawed. A convenient step high enough for one is exhausting trial for another. Were I to oversee the civic design of this settlement, I would construct a sloped conveyor belt which enabled automatic traversal, zero personal energy expenditure. And he just walks right up them. Nice. I should just teleport, but I'm gonna run around. Hey, he just walks right up it, no problem. It was funny. It just kind of a bit silly to do that and then just have him be able to walk right up the stairs. So there's two quests that were unlocked, that were added with 6.1. And obviously we're doing the first one. And then I'll need to see how long the second one's going to take. I think I'll probably just go ahead and do all that in one go. And then I'll probably just end up wrapping up with a shorter stream. So I ended up spending a ton of time editing a single video because I was having trouble getting the audio right. Anyway, let's go and talk to this melancholy man. Are you a traveler? Please, if you have a moment, I could use an outsider's perspective. You see, I was one of those who sought to escape the madness plaguing the world by fleeing to the moon. Not that we ever went, in the end. So here I am, recently returned from Charlene, except now things are strained between my sister and I. Since she chose to stay, I chose to leave. I ask her to help me find work, and she suggests I look somewhere that isn't Thavner, as if I wanted to abandon my home. Ugh. It makes me so angry. Bloop. Your point is unclear. You elected to relocate to the star satellite, thus your relative now perceives you in a negative light. Your sibling's judgment is in error. Based on the information made available to Honish citizens, your decision to withdraw to the moon was both logical and correct. Conversely, the decision to remain in Radzidhan, despite the low probability of survival, defies explanation. Perhaps her reasoning pathways are faulty. That's right! I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'm right, aren't I? Or so I'd like to think. The problem is, I understand why my sister feels this way. I almost decided against going myself. Even then, I wasn't sure that leaving behind everything I loved was the right choice. And with the way it all turned out, Well, I'm sure Omega's getting a lot of data from this. Let's go ahead and walk into this person's house and invade their privacy. Ask them some questions too. Oh, hello again. You're the one who came to ask me questions about Kalzal. I'm glad to see you looking well after all that unpleasantness. I remember the burning skies and hearing screams, but truth be told, I'm still confused as to what actually happened. I only know it wasn't unusual for entire families to go missing. Many of my neighbors' houses lie empty even now. Kazal's place is one of them. He had no close relatives to speak of, and I heard that it was members of the consortium who came to remove his belongings. What a terrible thing to have to do. Terrible. Kazal's passing was recorded in the report. Clearing out his domicile and readying it for new habitation seems an appropriate reallocation of resources. Dear me, what a clever little contraption. But of course, I'm not against making the use of his quarters. That would be wasteful. It's simply that Kazal was always such a vigorous person. All that passion, all those dreams, suddenly gone. I feel the same sorrow for everyone who was lost. Seeing the remnants of those vibrant lives packed away in boxes. That is what I mean by terrible. As usual, Omega has no sense of what is emotional depth or anything like that. Let's talk to this Huron boy. Hey, don't I know you? Yes, after the beasts were taken care of, you told me to join everyone in the square. Thanks to you, I was there when Vitra gave his speech, and I found who Varshan really was. It's a shame, we don't really get to play like we used to, but Mama says Vitra has been busy putting the city back in order. Maybe I can work for him one day, when I'm a man grown. That's nice. Vitra, Midgar Somer's offspring, yes, and this child wishes to put himself at the worm's command, that he might make his own contribution to society. A pattern emerges. I predict that Honish survivors are those who had ingested Vitra's blood and become his draconic minions. No, no, Omega, no, no. You latched onto the wrong point. Though dragons were no dragons were no match for our civilization's might, their combat capabilities are not to be underestimated. It is unlikely they would experience emotions of dread or uncertainty as exhibited by lesser beings in times of undue stress. Dragons? I'm not a dragon, and I never ingested anyone's blood either. Ew. You are not of Vitra's horde, so you possess no hidden means to fight off the beasts. What of fear then? You were frightened? Yes, I was frightened. I just hid and hoped they wouldn't find me, at least until she told me it was safe to come out. Brilliant. I require a moment to process this input. Let us move apart and discuss our findings. Okay. That's right, they're still following us, so we need to end it off with one of these. Bloop. Processing data. Evaluating hypothesis against accumulated evidence. I offered an optimal analysis for each subject's testimony, yet each time their response conflicted with my assessment. Without identifying the root cause of this conflict, I will be unable to properly define what constitutes strength of heart. Perhaps the heart you seek lies in the conflict itself. Perhaps we should continue the questioning. Perhaps it's a matter beyond you, nah. An interesting observation. It is possible my base criteria is in error. In which case, it is imperative that I continue this learning process and repair any fundamental misconceptions. Next, I wish to interact with an individual who endured similar circumstances to Kalzal prior to his transformation. Are you acquainted with any local merchants who had dealings with him? Yeah, I guess so. Oh right, we're gonna go talk to, what's his name, the fisherman. The Dijbana of Ruvia Fibers, acknowledged. Sub-destination set, that's right. That's right, we talked to him at one point. Okay, let's go ahead and just teleport over here and then run around here. Right here. Yeah, the airship landing. Oh, not that way. We'll do the speech bubble first. Oh, we have some more insightful knowledge from Alpha first. Quick. Alpha looks back and forth between Omega and the Hamas, showing visible concern. Halt, Brilliant. Do not proceed beyond the fence. I wasn't going to. In this body, birds of that size represent lethal, unthinkable threats. They will peck my carcass apart, searching for meat that does not exist. Conversely, Alpha can correctly identify my absence of nutritional content. If only he would apply that intelligence towards maintaining a regular feeding schedule. Poor habits adversely affect his mobility. Alpha, you need to eat regular meals, okay? Take care of yourself. Okay, let's just hop across these things that Omega can somehow climb over. Hop on down here. Talk to Jin Abaha. Oh, did I click on him? There we go. Well, look who it is. I must thank you again for your help in moving our textiles. Recovering from those tragic events has been difficult, of course. But with everyone pulling together, we've managed to get things back and running. Jinabaha, I come with questions related to that tragedy, specifically your survival of the final days. Although you were similar to Kalzal in many respects, he succumbed to the transformation and you did not. Why? What is the critical difference between you and him? What? I'm sure I don't know. I'm not especially brave or courageous, if that's what you're asking. Perhaps being focused on protecting our workshop kept me from spinning into a panic. Still, I imagine Kalzal would have been feeling the same sense of responsibility. Perhaps the weight of it all is what invited his demise. You were of the same mind, resolved to the same purpose. Yet your strength of heart, of spirit, was not equal. If I merely emulating the individual is sufficient, then some other unforeseen factor must be involved. Ahem, not to interrupt these deep philosophical musings, but do you think I could ask you a small favor? Oh no, the businessman is asking for a favor. There's a man by the name of Najvan, who's been helping us out here while he gets back on his feet. I have a feeling he'd benefit from speaking with you. Leave by the eastern exit, and you should find him just outside, organizing some new inventory items. Okay, maybe that'll help. Okay, let's do the speech bubble, and then try and find our man. Oh, there it is. Quick. Alpha puffs out his chest proudly, seeming to imply that his Ironworks uniform is the best attire anyone could wear. The equipment being manufactured here, it is worn to perform specific duties, yes. Conceptually, it seems analogous to our practice of switching frames to better serve our mission objectives. I, for example, did not begin existence with the Omega model. I was originally supplied with standard issue Omicron chassis, serial number M-017. On this world, that alphanumeric combination would be considered my given name. Such designations are drawn from our nearly infinite register of celestial bodies to avoid the possibility of duplication. Furthermore, the cluster known as M-017 is better expressed in your language as the Omega Nebula, the same word I use to introduce myself to your kind. Though the associate Omega with the advanced weapon construct, it is also my name, and I see no reason to change it no matter which frame I inhabit. Interesting. So he's actually latched on to a name himself. Okay, now where's our guy? Oh, that's not him. Oh, there we go. Nashvan. That's all our orders accounted for, and everything looks to be in good quality. Kamal will be pleased. Or Kamla, whatever it was. You were with the Scions. You were there. Yeah, I'm in a lot of places. Yes, I'm sure of it. I'll never forget that day. You and your friends helped us escape when people began changing into beasts. My own son, he was afflicted. Then that huge monstrosity loomed right over him, and I remember my heart turning to ice, freezing in place. Saturate came to my aid, but then he, too, was gone. Oh, flashback. Oh, that was him. Oh, right. I haven't edited that cutscene yet, but I remember I watched it again later because I wanted to watch Graha. The memories run together in my mind, like flashes from a nightmare. Only the words of your comrade still ring clear. I repeated them over and over, like a mantra, as I fled for my life. You must run, for their sake and your own. It all seemed so surreal, which was probably what saved me from the transformation. The truth of it didn't begin to sink in until the worst of it was over. I have not the words to describe how I felt then, the sorrow that overwhelmed the sense of helplessness. I may still be wallowing in misery, if not for my old friend, Jin Baha. I'd lost my will to work, and he encouraged me with kind words and odd jobs. Now somehow, I live again. I'm thankful to him, to the courageous Awan, and to you. If you see your comrades, please let them know their efforts were not in vain. You said you lost your will to work. This signifies a cessation of efforts to maintain basic life functions, yes? Well, kinda. What changed to extract you from that stagnation? An offer to work from Jin Baha should mean little to the one without the desire to accept it. Was it some manner of mortal instinct, a primal need to survive and thrive? Instinct? No, it wasn't that. If anything, my instincts were telling me to lay down and welcome an end to the pain. Every day, I think of my boy's final moments. I think of how scared he must have been, how it must have hurt, and I want to scream my throat raw. The satrap, too, still haunts my dreams. I see him being swallowed whole and jolt awake in a cold sweat. Nothing like a bit of trauma to build some character. But something changed when Jin Baha came to me. I looked up and saw that, even without my son or Awan, the world around me continued to turn. And because that fact grieved me so, I knew it fell to me to live on and remember them. Strange, isn't it? What drives me to rise in the morning is the very sorrow which once crippled me. Now, I really must return to my work. To lose this job after everything I just said would be poor jest indeed. May the sisters keep you well. Sorrow, the emotion generated by mortals when their ideas fail to materialize. This I have observed. Yet, when I listen to how Nashvan's sorrow served to rescue him from the near-fatal despondency, his logic eludes me. Am I incapable of preserving the full measure of the heart's properties? Maybe. My best projections failed to predict our subjects' responses, and despite their almost equal occupational and mental parameters, Jinbana and Kazal exhibited different reactions to the dynamis effect. I am no closer to recognizing the pattern for involuntary transformations, and your ephemeral mortal spirits confound me as much, if not more, than they did before. Have you considered that there is no pattern to the people afflicted? The hearts of others were ever shrouded in mystery. Perhaps it's time we move on to the next element you wanted to clarify. Well, let's just move on. Bloop. You are my appointed educator. If you consider further investigation here to be futile, then I will adhere to your judgment. A new location and new input may help provide fresh insights into previously unsolved problems. After my defeat at your hands, I was forced to acknowledge that the heart is a complex subject, one which I am ill-equipped to study alone. Perhaps continue your effort to enlighten me, Brillian. That was the first quest. We checked out Thavner. And give me a second to fix something. I'll be right back. Okay. I realized I had my fan on. I had completely forgotten to turn it off before I started. Hopefully it's not... The thing is, when it's on low, it isn't... It's barely audible in the microphone, but it's just enough for me to be able to hear it, which means it's probably a lot louder for normal people since I can't hear very well. Or rather, I have slight hearing loss. I don't know if loss is the right word. Anyway, let's talk to Alpha and then Omega and continue on. Quick. Goodbye, I'm not gonna try and pronounce that. Omega has selected a new destination. Our next destination will be Camp Broken Glass. I desire elaboration on the dealings between the Ilsabard contingent and the citizens of Garlemald. The report described the contingent's purpose as the salvation of the local populace. Furthermore, between factions faced a common enemy on the Telefori. Why did they not immediately combine forces for the mutual benefit? Because Garleans. This inconsistency requires closer examination. Brilliant. Initiate teleportation. Okay, sounds good to me. Let's go to Camp Broken Glass. I already got my jacket on, so we won't be too cold. There we go. I was kind of wondering if Alpha would be cold. Teleportation successful. Evaluating immediate environs. A cold weather region by Aetheri standards, but significantly less extreme than a star with ice planet classification. Well, that's for sure. This body should not be unduly impeded. In contrast to Alpha and his uncontrollable shivering, my frame appears highly resistant to low temperatures. That's convenient. Retrieving data. Records indicate that remnants of the contingent force and a number of Imperial citizens yet inhabit this location. We must speak with the representatives from both factions and explore their respective attitudes. Bloop. Proceed. Now they're following me again. Okay. Let's see. Is there a speech bubble to look at? I don't see one. So let's just go ahead and talk to this first person over here. Resistance Delegate. Brilliant. Come to see how things are progressing, have you? Well, actually, I brought this toy for you to talk to. I can't speak for overall strategy, but communication with the locals has become a damn sight easier since Julius and his soldiers stepped in to help. Oh, we still face our fair share of distrust, of course. Some folks even think we're enslaving minds with our foreign magics. When we have Anima to thank for that, putting that idea in their heads. But all things considered, I'd say we're doing pretty well. Establishing an open dialogue was the first big step. Query. You consider this level of progress acceptable? The reality of your efforts falls short of the ideal. If your aim is to provide efficient succor to local populace, then absorbing their numbers into your command structure would be the optimal path, and then you would be just like the Garleans. Oh, I wouldn't want to go that far. We were not looking to take over their nation. If we're to do this the right way, we need to recognize and respect each other's way of life. So while it may not be the easiest solution, I agree that the contingent's slow and steady approach. I'm just happy we're saving lives. That's an interesting approach. Let's go ahead and talk to the other person. This is going to be a Garlean. Oh, they're all the way over here. Can you go in here? Oh no, there's someone around the corner. Yeah, emancipated refugee. Let's see, he's Garlean, right? Yep. A shadow from the past? Yes, I know you from Victor's spoils. If you come to laugh at me, a wretch who chose to lose Lucina and her sister rather than accept your help? The fool. Oh, right, he was one of the guys that was there. That's right. The fool who ended up reliant upon your charity nonetheless. No, not really. Well, perhaps I deserve your derision. I don't know how to say that. My compatriots surely scorn my failed conviction. I've shamed my people and brought dishonor upon my nation. I am no better than a kept beast, my pride sold for a bowl of feed. But my soul, nay, that you shall not have. I've refused to honor offers of a new home. This land is where I belong. You can stay, bro. And this is where I shall remain. You can stay. We're not telling you to leave. You demonstrate opposition to the contingents. Blip, blip. You demonstrate opposition to the contingent's overtures. On what basis do you refuse their cooperation? The data suggests the local populace is struggling to produce the bare minimum of sustenance. Have you some secret strategy for survival, or do your orders compel you to accept your present misfortune? Must I be mocked by a Magitech toy now? No, I have no secret strategy, no binding orders. I but comport myself as any Garlean patriot would, uncompromising, unbending. Blast it all. Once again, this input is unanticipated. Let us move aside and process what we have heard. Okay, let's see, where are we meeting up? Oh, right over here. Accessing and analyzing recorded data. Integration complete. I have evaluated this most recent input and made comparisons to our discoveries in Razadhan. Consistent only to their inconsistency, the responses from both contingent members and Imperial citizen were highly irrational. Conversely, any Omicron considering their predicaments would have echoed my assessment entirely. Exactly. The divergence from self-evident logic is key. Hypothesis: theological relationship between would-be saviors and suffering populace is another result of the unpredictable nature of mortal hearts. That's pretty accurate. Bloop. Any property or ability has inherent advantages and disadvantages. Yet never have I encountered such a unique detriment. It appears that those who share your metaphysical capabilities are prone to complicating simple cognitive processes. Well, ain't that the truth? An undesirable quality. I will, however, persist in furthering my understanding of the subject. Query. Prior to formulating our next step, I wish to know, who is this Lysina the Imperial mentioned? She did, bro. Acknowledged. To summarize, insufficient data on foreign culture resulted in inadvisable and ultimately fatal action. Well, that's a way to put it. I witnessed such self-destructive behavior during the course of our planetary conquests. Overwhelmed enemies' forces would voluntarily withdraw into perilous regions, leading to succession of inevitable losses. Tangential data request. I wish to learn about burial customs. The practice has ever seemed nonsensical with new data, but new data suggests it arises from the same source as your cognitive complications. Yeah? Take me to this Lysina's burial site. It may aid me in Bloop. Omega? Emergency delivery system compromised. Core temperature critically low. Ah, okay. Beep. Warning. Imminent heating required. Request. Apply friction to outer frame. Oh, we gotta pet him. Rub some warmth back into the frame. We gotta pet Omega. Boop, bleep. Temperature nominal. Energy levels stabilizing. That's a really easy way to warm it up. The creators of this model must have experienced impaired cognitive reason during the design process. Upon our return, I will request additional climate shielding, as well as an accurate temperature sensor array. This will not affect my combat capabilities, but should improve my basic survival rate. Reaffirming our sub-destination. In which direction will we find Victor's spoils? East. Blip. Acknowledged. It's gonna be a pretty long trek for them. Alpha, you are to remain in close proximity, close enough to envelop me in your feathers. You are permitted to carry me on your back if you so choose. Okay, let's head on over to Victor Spoils and check out Lucina's and her sister's burial site. What a lovely thought to remember. That's still super imposing. My inventory's a bit more messy than usual because I went through and did a bunch of leave quests. And I completed all of the regular sized crafting leaves. And now I just need to do I need to do 5 large scale leaves for each of them to get the last leave quest achievement, unique leave quest achievement. And obviously I'm not going to do that on stream, that's incredibly boring. I mean, the thing is, it might be interesting, I might be able to spin it to be interesting, but not right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk to Alpha and Omega, and looks like there's a First Legion soldier. Let's talk to him first. Quick. Let's talk to him first. Who dis? ... What, did he know Lucina? Bloop. Deceptively deep snowdrift must almost have defeated me, but we have successfully arrived at the location you indicated. Bloop. Caution advised. An unknown individual appears to be investigating the object of my interest. You're Eorzea's champion, aren't you? Brilliant Mason. Oh, I never introduced myself, did I? I'm Manus, a soldier of the First Legion and comrade of Julius. Perhaps you remember me from Terratim. We spoke about collecting ceruleum, and again later on, after Lord Quintus had passed. I don't remember him. Manius, explanation requested. What is the reason for your presence here? That must be the tiniest magic weapon no. This is just an oddly shaped communicator, isn't it? Sure. In any case, I have nothing worthy to report. I heard that the sisters who I used to live in my sector were buried here, so I thought I'd come and pay my respects. Alphanode and Alizé told me the story, complete with the profuse apologies, though they were adamant that no amount of remorse could erase the tragedy that had come of what came to pass. Not that my fellow soldiers and I are in any place to judge. We were manipulated, fooled into starting an insurrection which led to countless deaths among our own countrymen. Objection. The casualties incurred through your infighting are distinct from those caused by the Ilsabard contingent. To restate, you are justified in seeking restitution from the contingent for causing the deaths of Lucina and her sister. Retaliation for damages sustained is also logical progression. Not really. That wasn't their fault. I can deduce 2 reasons why you do not initiate hostilities with Berillion and her allies. 1. You judge your remaining forces too weakened to contend effectively with the contingent. 2. Your emotions are complicating the issue. I think number 2 is probably more likely. Tell me, which of these is correct? Well, when you laid out like that... I'm afraid my answer isn't like to win me any medals, so would you mind keeping this to yourself? There's the unspoken thought that we're outmatched on the battlefield, certainly, but the real reason I'm not demanding restitution has little to do with weighing the odds. The simple truth is, I'm so caught up with the simple survival, I've no strength to spare for past grievances. The same goes for avenging my comrades we've lost, be that my brothers in arms or Lord Quintus himself. Although it seems everyone has an opinion about the manner of his passing. Some say he should have fought until the end, that he abandoned us to the enemy. Others praise him for taking the full burden of responsibility and freeing us to walk our own path. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but I'm inclined to side with the latter. He gave us the choice of freedom, and that's the choice I made. I could cry and rant and rage, but what would be the point? I'll save my energy for worrying about my next meal, my next task. I need to focus on the ones left behind, on making some kind of life for my comrades and me. And if I need to lean on the contingent to do that, then that's what I'll do. Even if their aid comes at a price, I'm willing to pay it. Even amongst your own, there are times when cooperation demands compromise. What matter that they're outsiders? Besides, I think I could grow to like Alphanode and Alizé. They've reached out to us with kindness and compassion from the very beginning. Summation. Your desire to survive, even should it mean allying with the contingent, was a feeling you already harbored. That your side had committed worse atrocities was the logic you invented later to justify your reasoning. Well, yeah, I guess you could put it that way. Blunt, but accurate, I suppose. The heart is honest about what it wants, even if the mind takes a while to reconcile the decision. Well, this has been oddly cathartic, but I must return to my duties. There are wild beasts to cull, watchfires to light, supplies to transport. Even without an emperor, there is no rest for an imperial. Be well and stay safe. Well, that was interesting. Blip. Upon review of recent input, I have arrived at an unexpected conclusion. I have been formulating my assessments on the premise that it was man who commanded the strength of his heart, but the data suggests the opposite is true. Well, that's a pretty good conclusion you came to. The surge of spirit, of feelings, of emotions can tangle your thoughts to such a degree that even control over your own behavior is compromised. It seems a most counterproductive specification. True. This also explains why my interactions with more mortal subjects have produced more confusion than clarification. It presents a formidable barrier to understanding. Yeah, let me check something real quick. Oh, I thought Omega Beyond the Rift was longer than this, but apparently this is all there is. Okay, that's fine. Talk to Alpha and Omega. Quick. My earlier hypothesis has been borne out. The suboptimal operation being conducted here is the result of emotionally compromised reasoning. I am ready to progress to my third and final query. I would learn more about those referred to as ancients. It is clear that this group was a crucial factor to the final days, but the information contained in the report was insufficient to form an overview. Well, I can take you over to Amarad, but you need to be able to cross the rift. They are technically immaterial possessions, so I could take them to the first. I said immaterial. They're material possessions. The Lobrits are creations of the ancients and are said to maintain repositories of their knowledge. By my calculations, the base of these moon dwellers will provide the best source of additional information. Teleport us to their burrow, Berlian, preferably before my battery freezes over. Okay, sure, we can go to Brief Space Burrow. Yep, Omega's fascinated. Quick, quick, quick! Your teleportation spell was successful. We appear to have arrived at the location described as Bestway's Burrow. An inspection of the technology in use here would give me detailed insight into the ancients and their civilization. This body, however, lacks my previous frame's advanced observational functionality. I will require external assistance. No, it can't be. It is you, Brilliant. Oh, Brilliant, I've missed you so. What have you brought with you? This soft, feathery vision? We have been outfluffed. We've been outfluffed. That's not the reaction I expected. We've been outfluffed. Pack up the moon, it's all over. Why bother with burrow building bunnies when you could walk around with this adorable avian engineer? Just bake me into a pie and be done with it. Okay, Growing Way. Maybe that sounds like something Nothing Way would say. Inspect your inventions? Wait, so you're not done with us? No. I wasn't truly worried, of course, and I certainly wasn't about to roll myself into dough and drive into Cooking Way's new oven. Ahem. If a technological breakdown is what you need, then I am your Lobrit. As the resident atmospheric regulation expert, I can field any question or query you might care to pose. Acceptable. I will employ this being to guide me around the facility. No, so I don't have to do it? Good. Your presence is not mandatory. Even locked within my current chassis, I am still an autonomous construct that has endured hundreds of your life cycles. I am capable of completing this simple observation objective alone. Okay, sounds good to me. Is Alpha gonna go with him? Yeah. Then where am I going? Okay, they're just gonna cut away. That is a little bit cheap. Then again, we kind of already did a tour during MSQ, so it kind of would be a bit odd for us to go and do another tour. Objective complete. Was the tour helpful? What happened to Growing Way? Yeah. After my 15th question, his response began to suffer noticeable delays. By that stage, we had reviewed a representative cross-section of Lopert engineering, thus I deemed it necessary to retain his company. Unnecessary, okay. Conclusion. Extrapolating from the fraction of technology on display, the full spectrum of the ancients' advancements was, at minimum, equivalent to a level 4 civilization, a fact which demands further investigation. Despite establishing a near-ideal society, these beings nevertheless harbored a weakness which invited self-destruction. In studying them, I stand to gain a greater understanding of Sir's anomalous decision. We're gonna go visit the Watcher. Growing Way informed me that another type of ancient-made entity exists upon this satellite, the one they call the Watcher. I would speak to him. Okay, we can head on up there. Then conserve your ether. We will ride this Argos to your destination, as you have suggested. I don't think the dog is going to be too happy about us riding, of them riding on. Anyway, let's head on up. And let's see, where's the exit again? This way? Yes. And let's head on over to the Watcher. I guess we gotta talk to Omega out here. Where are they? They're right next to Argos. Quick, quick, quick. Bloop. Impedance detected. The creature identified as Argos refuses to acknowledge our presence. Hypothesis. Upon our arrival, Growingway expressed concern that he had been out-fluffed. This suggests the existence of a fluff-based hierarchy. Not quite Omega. My station in such a system would be predictably low, but Argos is adamant in ignoring even Alpha. Its fluffiness level is impossible to gauge. Not quite. Argos turns to you with an impassive gaze. It seems you will need to intervene. Just think of them as luggage. You're the fluffiest of them all, dear Argos. Sure, let's do that. Argos gives you an exacerbated snort before motioning to his back. It seems you have permission to climb aboard. Bloop. You have secured that creature's permission. Curious. It is your fluffy ears. I wonder if that changes per race. Fluffy ears which promote such exemplary standing in the hierarchy. Beep. I have allowed myself to become distracted. Let us continue on to the Watcher at once. Alright, let's walk up the steps and enter the Watcher's domain. Wonder what interesting stuff he's gonna have to talk about. Like Alpha. Quick, quick, quick! The Watcher located an estimate of this being's height explains the inconvenient scale of Bestway's burrow. Yep. I was bemused by the arrival of these visitors, but I see they are companions of yours. What a rare thing for my abode to be this crowded. How may I be of service to you? Hello, Watcher. My purpose here is to learn about the ancients. I would know of their deeds, their philosophies, the very nature of their hearts. I would understand why the final days were visited upon my home star. A worthy endeavor, but there is another better suited to assisting you with that task. Perhaps you might favor us with a tale or two of the ancients you met during your travels, Beryllian. My fragmented memories would be a pale substitute indeed for the clarity of your more recent experiences. Well, he's not wrong. Yes. Oh, yes. I can envision every detail. Your meeting with Vanal and Emetselk and Hythlodaeus. The sorrow and determination of Hermes. I am a creation of Hydaelyn, and as such, I believed the age of the ancients would fade and be forgotten. Yet knowing their memory lives so vividly within you, It brings me great joy. I pray you keep them close to your heart. Oh, don't worry, I'm still gonna remember. I mean, Emmett told me to. At the time of your journey to the past, the one whose essence I embody would have been a scholar at Anidur. A shame. Had you reason to go there, perhaps you might have met. As a man of learning, he was firm friends with Vana. They spent long hours trading theories, or debating the law of the universe. I remember joining her faction as the final days bore down upon us. Yet of the events surrounding that tragedy, I recall precious little. Heidelin wished for the people of your age to decide their own path, and thus I suspect my recollection was limited by design. Yet even she could not cut away one persistent memory. I feel most distinctly his sadness at what was to come to pass, that in becoming Heidelin's heart, Vana would forever stand apart from the people she so loved. If she were so resolved in her convictions, then he, too, would share her sleepless vigil over the future yet to unfold. Thus was the vow he made to Vana as her transformation took hold. His fervent wish must have reached her in some fashion, for though his life was drained away by the summoning, he was reborn with a new form and new purpose, when I awoke as the Watcher of the Moon. And you heard, Berlian, you felt, you thought, you loved, you laughed. And in seizing the future for yourself, have you brought full circle the saga which Vana began. What you accomplished was no divine miracle, it was but the beacon of hope, passed down from one generation to the next, a succession of wishes and prayers reshaping the star into the world we knew you deserved. You have our deepest gratitude. I thank you not only as myself, but as the man I once was, and on behalf of those who devoted themselves to Vana's vision. That's nice. Bloop, bloop. I understand the facts of your story, Brilliant, but not how you have chosen to process them. On what grounds do you speak of Vana with such fondness? By sundering the world, she ultimately guided your kind to victory, yet in doing so caused irreparable damage to its individual members. The full scale of that act is beyond calculation. It is evident, however, that it resulted in a protracted period of suboptimal existence for Emetselk and his brethren. Query: if the survival of your kind is the deciding factor in your evaluation, then should you not also admire Hermes and his decision to subject man to a trial, forcing you to change or perish, as was the fate of countless civilizations before you? From my perspective, this determination was similar to that of the Omicron's ancestors, those who first began trading flesh for machine so that our people might stand against the onslaught of aggression from other races. It was an unprecedented attempt, accompanied by such much failure and sacrifice. Their early experiments were crude, primitive. Had they not made those first advances, however, we would have remained vulnerable to our environment. The violence would have utterly consumed us. And what of Emetselk himself? Judging by your retelling, he was a benevolent ally, saddened with tragic fate. Yet, I remember the years when my instruments fed me data from events across the entire star. During that time, I witnessed his Asian engineer multiple instances of cataclysmic strife. These calamities, as you know them, were responsible for planet-wide destruction. A man whose endgame relied upon the extinction of all modern mortals must, by definition, be your worst enemy. Well, he was in Shadowbringers. I require an answer. As being of heart and soul, how do you classify each of your pivotal figures? From your perspective, which of them was most justified in their actions? Are they going to make me choose? Yeah, they're going to make me choose. They're all justified in their own way. Oh, that's kind of boring. Vana, Hermes, Emma. None of them were. The thing is, if none of them... Let's see. We are here today because of the decisions of people made in the past. So judging them and saying that one individual is wrong would be saying that this version of our existence is wrong. So I'm going to say that they were all justified. I think I understand. You seek a definitive answer, yet based on our experiences, Brilliant and I have developed very different opinions. In the same fashion, you are free to form your own thoughts on the matter. Do not be so swift to consider them without merit. I do not have my own thoughts on the matter. I assess each situation with the same logical pathways available to every Omicron. Even if 1,000 Omicrons were asked to analyze the same event, they would all return the same result, regardless of individual experience. There is no strength to be found in fractured reasoning, except for Sir, who seemed to do his own thing. Nonetheless, I find your input valuable, recording data alongside interview results. This concludes my investigation into the incomplete elements of the final day's report. I will reanalyze the accumulated information and examine the factors which led to Sir's incomprehensible decision. Doop. Let's return to Thaumazyne. Okay, sounds good to me. Head back and wrap this up. Oh, not gonna teleport me there. I need to go to Aporia, right? Yeah, let's go to Aporia. And then fly on down. I'm gonna take the elevators to see if it's any faster. Well, the thing is, since I end up accidentally touching the ground, it ends up being slower. Only slightly, though? No, because this black screen is gonna end up making it pretty much even. Alright, we're back. Let's talk to everyone and talk to Biggs. Quick, quick! Bip. You had a fruitful trip, I hope. I am absolutely bursting to ask you about your experiences with Omega, but I don't wish to be a pest. I will swallow my questions for now, and maintain my academic decorum. Besides, it seems our engineering friends are in a hurry to leave. Brilliant. I wasn't sure you'd be back in time. Ah, there you are, right at the last moment. Your journey with Omega was properly educational, I hope. We'd planned to ask you all about it and the mystery transmission besides, but I'm afraid something urgent has come up. Of course it has. Seems one of our Ironworks associates has fouled up a job elsewhere, and Jesse needs Wedge and me to rush in to lend a hand. There's an airship already waiting for us out in the harbor. In fact, do you think you could escort us over there and talk as we walk? Acceptable. I am fully capable of speech during ambulation. I figured you might be. Right. Let's get a move on then. Oh, we gotta head back out? Are they gonna teleport us? Okay, 2-minute cutscene. That works. So, you've cleared up all those points of confusion then? I had mistakenly classified your intangible heart as ability of some kind. An uncanny power that Omicrons could neither learn nor even measure. Even now, its full nature yet eludes my comprehension. Based upon our investigations, however, I have decided to alter my definition. A phenomenon which influences one's interpretation of reality. I guess that works. That is as close to an answer as I have found. Oh, okay. It stopped auto-advancing. According to Sir's actions upon meeting Meteon strongly indicate the presence of a heart. Sir did not follow the routine logic, but formulated an independent assessment based upon the reality it perceived. It felt that the best recourse for the Omicrons was to cease their expansion and terminate all functions. That's an interesting interpretation. Well, here's our ship. Aye, we need to be going, but first, I'll hold you to your bargain, Omega. It's time you told us what the transmission from the flight logs. Would it acknowledged? I will uphold the terms of our agreement. The recording salvage from the rock was a simple one. The message is so basic, in fact, that the time spent listening to it may result in net loss of value. Shall I continue? Now you're just teasing. Tell us the message already. Probably like live or something. Acknowledged. Converting dialect code to local language. Especially since it started playing Close the Distance. To whomever receives this message out there in the vast reaches of the cosmos. To someone, I hope, who looks up to the stars with the same wistful gaze as mine. To you I say, forge ahead. May all our tomorrows be blessed with joy. This message has no designated recipient. It lacks purpose. The concept of joy is overly abstract. The vocal supplication to manifest said joy is unrealistic in its optimism. Yet, based upon their expression, my assessment of the transmission's value conflicts with that apparent impact. And still, I fail to understand you, sir. Your heart still confuses me. Was termination of everything the correct course? How did you arrive at this conclusion? It defies all my attempts at reasoning. But as I was designed to evolve, if I continue to learn, the probability that I eventually comprehend this phenomenon is greater than 0. So I will put the dilemma of your decision aside for now. And continue my existence upon this distant star. As I dwell among these many life forms, so will I continue to piece together the complete shape of their mortal hearts. I must document their progress. Oh, let's talk to Alpha and then wrap things up by talking to Omega. Quick. Your contribution to my education is appreciated, Brilliant. Indeed, I have amassed a satisfying quantity of valuable data. Now that our negotiated business is complete, however, Alpha and I will return to traveling the world. Drawing on recent experience, I am confident we can expand the radius of our ventures by a significant margin. We need not limit ourselves to Eorzea. I am now familiar with Charlian and Ratzadan, and would also like to revisit the freezing climes of Garlemul. And I like to instruct Biggs and Wedge to upgrade my climate shielding. I will reroute my request to Deputy President Jessie. Yeah, like she's gonna be okay with that. Engaging ambulation and parting salutations. Farewell, Brilliant. Goodbye, Alpha and Omega. Alpha gives a vigorous shake and draws forth a scrap of paper from under his wing. Huh? Queh? It seems he wants you to have it. Perhaps this is a way of thanking you? Oh, okay. Flow together. Nice. Boop. Swiftly, Alpha. The road is long and we have barely begun our journey. Well, that was cool. We're able to spend some more time with Alpha and Omega and contemplate our existence, you know, normal Endwalker stuff. Anyway, that's going to be all for today. I didn't realize that the Omega quest, there was only 2 of them in total. I thought it was like just 2 that they added in 6.1 and then they added more later. But I'm glad we ended up doing that. Anyway, that's going to be all for today. Tomorrow I am off, so I will be streaming. And I'm planning on doing the next of Ameliance's custom delivery quest and the first 2 Hildebrand quests that were added with 6.1. But until then, goodbye.